Hello everybody, Leif Kunkel with GX Products. Just wanted to do a quick instructional video on how to adjust the retention on your new GX Products Vice holster. These holsters do not come with the retention specifically set to your gun out of the package. It's not feasible for me on my end to set the exact retention for every single holster to the guns that they're made for. I just don't have all the guns that I make holsters for. I have some of them, and I've made all my own molds for all of them, but I do not have the ability to set the exact retention for every single holster before it ships. So I just want to show you the simple process of adjusting that retention. There are instructions included on the back side of the bag insert card that your holster will come in, with a diagram showing the unlock retention adjustment screw and what exactly you're looking to do. But we're going to run through it here because actually walking through it on video is a lot more comprehensive than written instructions. So as you know, or maybe you're not aware of yet, the Vice holster utilizes a clamp lock retention lever for the retention on the gun. In the unlocked position, which is the down position here, you want to adjust the holster so you have little to no retention on the trigger guard of the gun. And then you do not need to adjust anything else for the locked position. That is all preset. Once you get your unlocked retention set, the clamping lever will apply the correct amount of clamping pressure on your trigger guard for the locked position. Now, something to keep in mind, you will have to adjust not only this upper retention screw, which is on the back side because it threads into the stainless steel barrel on the clamping lever from the back side. You will also need to adjust this lower retention screw. Just like you would on a standard retention screw holster, you need to adjust both screws. And both screws are not 100% independent of each other. You have to remember that as well. As you tighten one screw, the retention on the other end of the holster will actually go in the opposite direction. You have to think of it as the screw that you are not adjusting acts as a pivot point, and the screw that you are adjusting is influencing the direction of movement across that pivot point. So as you adjust, say you were tightening your upper retention screw, that's going to pinch the holster body here. This fixed point is your pivot point. That's actually going to open the retention at the other end. So you have to keep in mind the relationship between the two screws. So these are not adjusted to a gun yet. These are as they would be packaged to be sent out. This one is for a CZ Shadow 2. So I'm going to grab my Shadow 2 here, and we are going to see where we're at and adjust as needed. So right now, that is in the unlocked position. There's a little bit of retention on the trigger guard right now. It doesn't feel like it's retaining in the muzzle, which is good, but we can loosen up the unlocked retention with this upper retention screw from the back side, a little bit at a time. A little bit. And you might prefer a little bit of retention. You don't want to go so far that the holster body is very far from contacting the trigger guard, because if you go too loose here, you won't get the clamping pressure you need in the locked position there. So right now, that's just barely catching the trigger guard. That's kind of what we want to go for. Doesn't feel like it's catching in the muzzle, but if it was catching in the muzzle, what you would do is you would loosen this lower screw right here. And then you want to check your clamped retention. Once you get that correct, go ahead and clamp that in there. Make sure the gun's locked in. That's very solidly locked in. unlock, no retention. Okay. All right, so that is a Shadow 2. Make sure you spend the time and get that correct. You only have to do it once. This retention is not going to change. Once you get it set once, you're good to go. So now we'll try another one. This one here is a 5-inch Government 1911 holster. I've not touched the retention since I set it during assembly, so I'm not sure where it's at on this gun. This is a 5-inch Bull Trophy Saw 1911 40 caliber. These are awesome guns. All right, this one's actually on the loose side right now. So you can see here, there's no retention at all on that trigger guard, and there's actually a little bit of movement in the holster because it's too loose. There's actually too much of a gap between the trigger guard and the holster body. So we're going to start with the upper retention screw from the back side. We're going to snug that up. That's just barely retaining. And this one is actually, I can feel it's a little loose in the muzzle as well. So we're going to want to tighten the muzzle up using the lower retention screw. That took some of the play out of it. And then you have to remember, as you tighten up that lower retention screw without tightening up the upper retention screw, you're actually decreasing the retention at the trigger guard, because now your stationary pivot point is your upper retention screw. As you tighten the lower retention screw and pinch this together, it actually spreads this apart on the other side of the pivot point. So you'll feel when you tighten that lower screw that you will get less retention up here. So you have to play back and forth with the retention on both of those screws. So now I'm going to tighten up that a little bit more, the upper screw, because the lower screw tightening loosened it. That's feeling pretty good right there. Now check the retention with your clamping lever. That is locked in there really tight. Okay, open that back up. Zero retention. That's the beauty of the Vice holster. And all of the retention adjustment screws on all GX Products holsters, other than the thumb screws, because they're meant to be adjusted pretty frequently, they are all installed with a pre-application of a repositionable thread locker, Vibra-Tite VC3 thread mate. So you do not have to apply thread locker to those screws, but you can adjust the screws. That is a non-hardening, repositionable thread locker. If you have any questions regarding the retention adjustment or overall function of any of the GX Products holsters, please feel free to reach out to me. You can email me at lafe, L-A-F-E, at gxproductsusa.com, or you can message me through the GX Products LLC Facebook page or GX Products on Instagram. Thank you very much.